Alright, so some paintings, very quickly. I did some painting over the weekend, and before I was doing like planets, and as you can see, like stuff like this. Planets and sky and clouds, and I jumped like 10 steps. Probably a little farther ahead than I should have. But I tried some stuff. I learned some things with stencils and how to use them and what sequence, like how you cut them out and in what style you should cut them out depending on how you paint things. So the first one I ended up completing is this one for the Toronto Raptors in tribute to my favorite basketball team. And what I did here was I sprayed... Oh, hold up. Oh, no, that's nothing. So I sprayed 3 different colors in the background. There's a mix of black, red, and purple, which are a mix of the team's sort of classic and modern colors. And so you spray those on, and then as you can see, there's like some texture in there, and that's actually like before it fully dries, you take a plastic bag or like magazine paper and you tap it on and then you rip, and so it gives it this sort of textured look throughout. And then I sprayed the ball on after, and then I shaded it a little bit. The shading could have been better, but like a bit of white on the front and then a bit of black just to kind of give it that sort of light source. It's a little too harsh, but overall I think this looks pretty nice, and I will probably do some version of this again. And I think overall this is probably my favorite one of the day. Next one. One of my favorite Street Fighter characters, Akuma, and his pose with the Raging Demon. Looks good, thank you. And so I had this idea of, I mean, it's not an original idea of having Akuma stand in front of that symbol, but I hadn't figured out the logistics of how to actually make that happen, of like paint Akuma here and then put the symbol over top, or like put the symbol behind him. What I ended up doing was there's the stencil, I put that down, spray painted Akuma, and then I had like the outline of the stencil which I put over top. Actually painted Akuma, painted the whole thing black, and then I had this other stencil which I put over top, but then it was actually like still it painted, when I painted this line here and this line here, it was painting on top of the stencil and not on Akuma himself. So it makes it look like the stencil was there first, even though, or the symbol was there first, even though that was the last thing I painted. And then I like flicked on some blood, like some red ink to give it sort of like that blood splatter effect. So this one worked out pretty well. I actually had to do 2 versions of this. The first one, I screwed up beyond repair. I had issues with my stencil. Triform says, do you use a reference or paint from scratch with Akuma? So I do spray paint art, and you can't really... Looks really great, thank you. For something with this level of precision in the shape, you can't really do that with spray paint. So like I found a stencil and I cut it out and then spray painted on as I needed it. But in terms of like how they're placed and like the way I spray painted specific ways to get the... So just enough of the outline, kind of give them that glow. That part's me. Where I messed up... we don't screw things up, we just have happy little accidents. Yep. Where I messed up was that the stencil that we used. So when you're doing this, the best thing to use is glossy Bristol board. It's super cheap and it takes to the paint really well. You can see there's like a bit of a shine there as well. The challenge is, for the stencils, I used matte Bristol board, which was a little cheaper. It's a little closer to my house, the store that sells it. And when we peeled off the stencil, a lot of the paint actually stuck to the stencil, and then I had to like go in and just manually spray paint in to try and fix it up. And the first one, I made so many mistakes that I just couldn't save it. So make sure if you're making stencils to make them glossy as well, so the paint won't stick. So yeah, this one turned out pretty well. One of these 3 I'm gonna put... This is the week where I'm supposed to change out all the stuff in the back. So one of these 3 things is gonna be up here this month. And then the last one I had this idea for a Tetris Effect inspired one. Kind of Tetris in space. It's actually funny because Tetris 99 now has a backdrop that is actually a galaxy that has purple in it. So it's kind of like Tetris 9, more like Tetris 1. There's only one board. But yeah, the Tetris Effect title screen actually has like a planet below, and then it says Tetris Effect, and that was kind of what I was going for here. So I cut out a stencil with the Tetris shape. This was actually kind of tricky, of trying to create that sort of one-piece stencil that still gave off the effect of Tetris. Like, trying to cut out individual blocks with colors, that would be a mess, so this was all one piece. The challenge is, what I should have done is I should have cut it as like an outline thing and sprayed this on last. Instead, it was a smaller piece that I cut out, left it on the whole time, but then because I didn't weight the sides down properly, it's not fully solid all the way through. So next time I do it, and I will do this one again, I will do it the right way, and that will be cleaned up, and then I'll be able to do more colors and stuff here as well. And yeah, the Galaxy has that sort of texture effect as well, where you sprayed paint the things and then you use the plastic bag to rip off and give it that texture. And then the planet, this is like one of the best planets I've made yet. And again, that's just like you spray multiple colors in, you put the plastic bag on top, and then you rip. What was the idea behind it, or was it like doing a doodle? And Ian says, how hard is it to get the different shades that make it look spacey? Okay, so first thing, what was the idea behind this particular painting? Yeah, for me it was just like inspired by Tetris Effect and sort of the spacey vibes of that game, and having that board in space is what I was kind of going for. And then Ian asks, how hard is it to get the shades like that to make it look spacey? So the multicolored thing, it's actually surprisingly easy. All you have to do is you take 2 spray cans and then you just spritz it around onto the board, and it kind of ends up like that. Like, you don't even have to do the technique where you place the bag on and then texture it. You could just spray 2 colors and it'll create that effect on its own. At Triform, nah, I'm probably just going to use graphics I made from last year. And oh man, Tetris 99 with the Tetris Effect, insane style. Yeah, that would be nice. It has, yeah, Tetris 99 has a Galaxy board. I can actually show you that here. I actually unlocked another one as well. It's not quite Tetris 99, or Tetris Effect. The music is not there. The music is not there. That's the big one. The Tetris Effect soundtrack is incredible. But, yeah, so yeah, here's the Galaxy one, which is not unlike what I made with the black and the purple and the stars. But I didn't, yeah, that wasn't going through my head when I made this particular color combo choice. I went with purple because when you're doing this style of spray paint art, it's really easy to go through the color black really fast. And I wanted to pick a color that wasn't used that much, which is why I picked purple.